Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Tuesday, first day of the month of July here, and we have our first miner reporting. So Mara is taking basically Bitfarms' place and being the first miner to report for their June production update. We'll take a look at it. It wasn't as great as we saw in May, but it's still pretty good for their size. But we'll talk about that. They had some issues with weather and other things like that for curtailing. We'll talk about that. Bitcoin obviously is coming down here. It's a little flat. What's going on with that one? Tom Lee has, there's a video that I have for you guys with Tom Lee. We'll talk about that in a minute or in a couple of minutes. And he kind of explains possibilities of why Bitcoin's kind of flat right now and why Bitcoin price isn't going up with everything that we're seeing here. What else do we have here? We got Riot news, Bitfarms news as well. We'll talk about Cypher. Cypher's doing pretty good today right now and after hours as well. What else do we have here? I think that's basically it. Yeah, so let's get into it. Time is money here. As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin obviously didn't have that great of a day today, as it didn't have a great day on Monday either. So it was down another, let's see, what was it down today? It was down approximately 1.36%, which was similar to what we saw yesterday as well, where it was down 1.12%. We closed today at $105,711. We're below the 50-day SMA, simple moving average right now. Don't like the setup because it kind of reminds me of what we saw here. If we zoom out just a little bit here, right, we saw something similar happening here. We went below, we went up, and then we went below the 50 SMA as well. And I'm hoping this doesn't play out where we go down a little bit lower, possibly go down to like 100,000 here, bounce off of that, get maybe another new all-time high here, and then come back down. Right, another 30% correction here. I would hate to see that. I don't know if that's going to happen here, but it's looking pretty similar to what we saw here. So I'm hoping it doesn't play out the same way. I'm hoping July is going to be a really good month for us. Historically, it has been. When we look at like the 2021 cycle, 2017, and 2013 cycles as well. July and August have been historically really good months on the bull run. So hopefully we'll get that, and this doesn't actually go down much further from here. If we bounce off 100,000, that wouldn't be too bad. But obviously we'd want to stay above the 200 SMA at least, bounce off of that and go up higher. So maybe at the worst, we might go down to 96,000 if this plays out that way. Hopefully, we'll see. So that's Bitcoin on today. We also had Ethereum being up a little bit. I think Ethereum was actually down today. Yeah, sorry. It's up a little bit now, but Ethereum was down a little bit here. Miners, for the most part, were in the green except for a couple here. So Bitfarms was up just a little bit on the day, was up 0.48%. On the new day, or in the after hours right now, we can see that that one is actually down a little bit, 1.6% here. And then we got BitDeer here being down 1.57% on the day. In the after hours right now, it is up actually 1.68, so kind of getting back what it lost. Then we got Cypher being up 2.15%, but check out Cypher now. Cypher at one point here, when I was looking at it, was close to like 10% up on it. It's at 8.98%, so something's going on there on that one. If anybody has any details, let me know, because I haven't heard anything. All I saw was Mike Alfred talking about it today on X a little bit, that he's seeing some strange volume on it. So that could be a thing there. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Next here we got Cleanspark was up just a little bit, 0.45%. It's up a little bit in the after hours, 0.36% there. And then we got CORZ being up a little bit, 1.05%. It's still kind of, stuck in this range right now. It's up a little bit from where it was yesterday, but not much. After hours, it's up a little bit, 0.17% here. So we're still waiting on news for that one. And CoreWeave to get bought out. Hive was up nicely today, 15%. No news from them, but man, the stock definitely had a nice day today. So is it finally getting some love here? Maybe. Maybe it's time for it to get a little love here. As they get closer to maybe getting 25 exahash by the end of the year. Maybe that's helping the stock out there. They also bought a data center out just last week for HPC AI. So maybe that's helping there. But Hive in the after hours right now is up a little bit, another 4.8%. So that one's doing pretty good as well. And I actually love seeing the miners doing pretty good. Hut 8 was down 0.65% on the day. It was up much higher. It got to 1974 before coming back down here. And let's see, after hours right now, it is up 4.98%. So it's kind of definitely rebounding there a little bit as well. IREN today reached a new all-time, not a new all-time high, a new 52-week high on it, $16.23. If we zoom out, we can see that we are above the last two times where we got denied at 15. This was what, a high here of 1575. We got denied there. We got there again back in December of last year. The high was at that point 1592. We got denied there and came back down. We got to 1623. We did fall below that and close below it here. So we'll see if we can actually close above that here going forward, but it might be getting a little too hot, too frothy for my liking here. It might come down a little bit more. You get a little correction on the RSI and everything else. We'll see if that plays out that way. But today was definitely had a good run up here before it started coming back down. And in the after hours right now, let's see here. IREN is up just a little bit, 0.79% as of right now. And then we have Mara here being up just a little bit on the day, 0.13%. And after hours, it is up a little bit, 0.51%. So not doing that great. Mara's been kind of held back here a little bit right now. Riot was down 0.27%. It did get to 1161, sorry, and then came back down, so it was down a little bit here in after hours. Right now, it is trading up a little bit, 1.15%. We got news on Riot and Bitfarms as well. We'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, we got Wolf here being up 1.37% on the day. And after hours right now, it is trading at just a little bit up, 0.45%. Strategy was down 7.68%. Not sure what's going on there, why that one got kicked a little bit. And this is what they're expecting here. Okay, that was 8 hours ago. Deadline alert to lead securities fraud class action. Is that what's causing it to come down there? So a lawsuit maybe. 13 hours ago, yeah. Pomerantz law firm announces the filing of a class action against MicroStrategy Incorporated, DBA Strategy, and certain officers. Great. What are they suing about? Galaxy was up 8.91% there. Coin was down 4% roughly. What else do we have here? There was some of the other some of the other treasury companies for Bitcoin were down today. It's Argo. Check out Argo. Argo had a huge rebound today after yesterday. It actually closed back to where it was. So that was kind of odd there. But that one definitely bounced back here to those levels. BitDigital was up a little bit, 5.48%. Who else? DMG Power. DMG blockchain was up 3.4. Mawson was up 16% today, and then Canon was down. The Bitcoin miner ETFs, DGHI was up 1.54, BKCH was up 0.3, and then BitQ and DApp were actually down. So it's kind of strange the way things are playing out right now. Miners are still doing really good considering Bitcoin's coming down here, which is kind of odd, right? Are the miners front running Bitcoin a little bit here? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Or it could be a fake out where they're pumping the miners right now, and then eventually they're gonna not rug pull us completely, but they're gonna take out some of our steps on the way up here. But we'll see. All right, so we talked about that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here for the month here. July right now we're down 1.25% on the month as it is. Bitcoin ETF inflows from yesterday were positive as BlackRock continued to buy in 112 million there. Today we have quite a few that we're selling, 342 million in sales. So selling out of Bitcoin here. We'll see what BlackRock did, if they were actually buying or not at that point, and see if we can continue, if this finally breaks that little run that we've had here with positive inflows from the Bitcoin miners here. All right, so let's get into some news here that we do have here. This one's going to be on the reason why possibly Bitcoin is not going up, even though we're seeing a lot of the ETFs buying like crazy here recently. And let's take a listen to what Tom Lee has to say here. So he's explaining why the real reason prices are moving, and we'll talk about it here as well. So let's take a listen.
We know Bitcoin ETFs are the most successful product launch in history. And then someone says, well, if you're going to collect that much money, Bitcoin goes to the moon. But it turns out Bitcoin's risen, but it's kind of churned. I think what happened is a couple things. One is a lot of these ETFs may have been receiving in-kind exchange. So people have their crypto keys, give it to the ETF provider, and then they just stepped up their basis. So that's not going to push up the price of Bitcoin. It adds to their AUM.
It's a wash.
Yes, it's a wash. And the second is that the ones who aren't involved in ETFs, but maybe they have $10 Bitcoin. We have clients that have bought Bitcoin at $100, and now it's 100,000. They're not looking to, they don't care if Bitcoin goes to a million. They are probably sellers at around 100,000. So we're churning the base now because 95% of the institutional world doesn't own Bitcoin, but a very significant portion of Bitcoin holders are sitting on huge gains. So I think this is the churn that's happening in Bitcoin now. We know Bitcoin.
All right, so as you guys kind of heard here, I kind of agree with them on that. Yes, we do have a lot of people that bought Bitcoin at much lower prices, and if they've been holding for a long time, there might be quite a few of them that are looking at Bitcoin at 100,000 right now, and it is life-changing money for them. It could be playing out, but how many of those are there actually? We'd have to probably do some analysis on the chain to see how many actually were there that are like that have bought Bitcoin at even maybe $100, $10, $1,000, whatever it was, and have bought a substantial amount there. I mean, somebody that bought maybe like 1,000 Bitcoin at $100 or something like that, right? They're looking pretty good right now. They have a lot of cash that they could possibly use to, buy a house or fix up their house or buy another house in the Aspen or somewhere in where it's warmer. Who knows, right? So that could be part of it. The other part that you mentioned there was the wash on it, where they're basically getting the coins and the keys or whatever into the ETFs, and don't like that because that's obviously not being impacted by the markets. You're not buying on the market or just in general on the markets. OTC is the same thing, right? If you're buying on OTC, but we do have at least one good news story on OTC here coming up here as well, that those are getting low. But this is going to maybe take a while for it to churn through, right? And then we might see that at certain price points in Bitcoin as well. 150,000, I think, would be also a pretty good case where we might see this kind of churn. 200,000 as well, depending on when people bought it, right? If you bought it at 10,000 or something like that, you start getting up to those levels. I mean, you're looking pretty good there, or at $5,000 per Bitcoin, whatever it might be. You're going to have those people that, depending on how much they bought, some whales potentially, they might start selling it at these prices, and it's definitely going to be a churn there. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get going back up, but we do have at least some good news that the OTCs here, I think this is the next one that I have here. The OTC balances has dropped to a 10-year low of 156,000 BTC, right? So not much, well, it's still quite a bit, but it's definitely been dropping here from where we have been. So that is good, good news there. And we need to see where things go from here, right? But I mean, we had as high as close to 600,000 here. This was back in 2018, and it has been coming down ever since basically 2022. Which was the start of the bear market here in Bitcoin, and it's been coming down as we're seeing strategy, everybody else buying more and more, right? So we're seeing that come down eventually. That is going to come down to a certain point where you're going to have to start buying it off the open market potentially, and Bitcoin's going to have to go up at that point. So that's at least giving me some hope there that eventually we will start running back up here, and I'm still hoping that's going to be in the next 6 months here. Next here, Bitcoin Magazine states, just in 4,000,000,021 Capital, CEO Jack Mallers said their plan is to buy as much Bitcoin as they possibly can, right? So this is definitely bullish because you got another company that's buying more and more. We talked about this, obviously, when they came out with this news that he's going to be the CEO there of 21 Capital. We talked about their structure and things like that. And this is great, right? Another company is just going to be sucking up all the Bitcoin that's off the OTCs and other places as well. So that's going to be really good for us here in the long run. Next here, just in publicly traded DDC Enterprise closes 528 million financing to advance its Bitcoin treasury strategy as well. So another company that's adding more Bitcoin onto their balance sheet here, sucking it off the OTC desks and everywhere else possibly. That's going to bode well for us here in the future there. So those are the couple good news stories that I had here for Bitcoin here. And let's get into Bitfarms here. So Bitfarms announces their result of annual general and special meeting of shareholders. Right, you guys voted on that. So this is based on the proxies received and the votes cast at the meeting. 6 directors were elected for the ensuing year. The following is the tabulation of the votes submitted here. So they're basically all staying there. Down here, there's quite a few things that were voted on. I just highlighted the things that I thought were interesting here. With votes for totaling 202 million common shares and 41.5 million against, shareholders voted in favor of a special resolution to approve a future consolidation of the common shares on the basis of 1, post-consolidation common share for up to 10 pre-consolidation common shares, if at such time following the date of the meeting up to and including June 30th, 2027, as may be determined by the board of directors of the company in its sole discretion, as more particularly described in the circular. So this gives them an optionality to possibly do a reverse split up to 10 shares per, or 10 shares for 1 share, basically, right? Reverse split. So you have 10 shares, you get 1 share, basically. That's the most that they could possibly do. Now, they could do 5 for 1. So if you have 5 shares, you get 1 share out of that. It's up to them to decide how they want to do that. And the good thing is it doesn't state anything in here, at least in here, it doesn't state that they are going to be doing anything like that unless they absolutely need to. So I think this just gives them optionality if by some happenstance the stock does not go up above $1 here in the next, I would say 3/4 of a year or something like that. Then at that point, they would have probably no choice but to do a reverse split and get the stock above $1 for being in compliance with the NASDAQ regulations. So that's the only thing I can think of that would really push them forward to it, but we'll see if they decide to do a reverse split. I don't think it makes sense right now. Stock is low, yes, but we'll see where it goes later on. I think they're going to give it a little bit more time to see where the stock goes. All right, so that's Bitfarms there. We got also, while we're on Bitfarms, we might as well talk about Riot here while we're at it. Because Riot reports beneficial ownership of 12.3% in Bitfarms. So they've been definitely selling. They were at 19.9% of shares that are owned by Bitfarms a while back, and they have been selling quite a bit here. So let's see, the sold shares were sold through normal course sales on the NASDAQ stock market and other open market trades for a weighted average price of approximately 84 cents. Right? They were buying it much higher when they were accumulating it. They were buying it in the mid $1 range and into even like the $2 range. So they're definitely taking a beating on this. So they're going to lose some money on it probably. It looks like maybe 50% or somewhere around there. They're going to probably end up losing on it, on the deal here, on selling this, which they probably should have been selling at much higher prices on when Bitfarms was above $2, even $3, something like that. But man, they did what they did. And continuing on here, immediately prior to the sales of the common shares giving rise to the issuance of this press release, Riot beneficially owned 71,110,860 common shares, representing approximately 12.79% of the issued and outstanding common shares. Based on the information contained in the company's circular, following completion of the aforementioned sale, Riot beneficially owned 68.3 million shares, roughly, representing approximately 12.29 of the issued and outstanding common shares as the data hereof. All right, so they have been continuing to sell. Obviously, that's what we're seeing on Bitfarms' stock price, been affected by it. With Riot selling, it's going to have an impact on it. And they still have a ways to go here, so they still have a lot of shares to go. Even if they were selling, 1 million shares a day, roughly, if they can even get away with that, you're looking at approximately 68 trading days here. So you're looking at roughly 3 months of trading. Yeah. If you look at 4 weeks in a month, 5 days trading, so you got 20 days there. That's 20 million a month, roughly. So you're looking at 3.5 months of trading where they're going to be possibly selling it at that point. That's like the best case scenario. If they just do 1 million shares a day. If they do more than that, you could get it faster. If they do slower, it could take longer. Right? So that's kind of what we're looking at here with Riot having purchased so many shares, and now they're selling it. All right, so there's those two. And then IREN also here has a little quick news story. So IREN appoints Anthony Lewis as Chief Capital Officer to lead capital market strategy. Right, this is just another little drop in the bucket here, and their path to getting some kind of a HPCI deal, whatever it might be. So Mr. Lewis will lead the development of IREN's capital structure and financing strategy as the company evaluates a range of AI infrastructure investments and associated funding requirements. Right. I mean, we know that data centers are not cheap to build out. We know that outfitting them also with GPUs and that are used for HPCI is not cheap. So there's, would they go that route, or would they be able to get a deal with somebody like a hyperscaler? That would be probably more opportunistic at that point. You wouldn't have to shell out as much cash, but we'll see what kind of deal they get. Mr. Lewis will bring more than 2 decades of experience in financial markets, including 22 years at Macquarie Group, a global financial services and asset management firm with a market capitalization of more than $50 billion in operations in 31 markets, where he most recently served as co-treasurer, responsible for global funding, liquidity, and capital management. And then Anthony's experience across funding, capital management, and investor engagement will be important as we align our financial strategy with growth opportunities in AI and compute infrastructure, said Daniel Roberts, co-founder and co-CEO of IREN. So that's kind of what we got here. So IREN's been doing really well here recently. Right, it's up almost 200% here since the bottom in April. So that one has done really, really well. We'll see if we get a little bit of correction on it. I think it might be due for a little bit of a correction, but we'll see. Right now, it's still doing pretty good here. All right, so last but not least here, let's get into Mara here. Mara is the first one to report their production updates here, which is nice to see. They're taking the spot of Bitfarms. Bitfarms, historically, when they reported, they were like the first ones to report the first day of business in the new month. And Mara hopefully they continue this. Hopefully they continue to provide their monthly updates like the first of the month. That'd be great. So Mawson reports a June operational update here, and they're also increasing their hash rate for the end of the year here. So they're targeting 75 exahash by the end of the year. That's fantastic. They're at 58 exahash right now. That would give them another increase of approximately 17 exahash, which would be really, really good for them. And hopefully that would be all in their own self-mined or self-owned infrastructure, right? Hopefully this doesn't get put into hosting or anything like that. Management commentary here. So with 1.7 gigawatts of captive capacity, including 1.1 gigawatts currently operational, and a growth pipeline exceeding 3 gigawatts of low-cost power opportunities, we are targeting 75 exahash by the end of 2025, which is nice to hear that they're, what they're targeting here. And I'm wondering why they started putting out the targets right now, because in the past they've been kind of quiet about it, kind of coy. They've said that they're going to grow for growth's sake and they're not going to report it, but now they are reporting it. I wonder if it's because the stock isn't performing as well. We are seeing other companies doing better and the price appreciation of their stocks. And I'm just wondering if this is the reason why they're coming out with this, right? Something splashy, something to give investors some, carrot in front of them, right? This is kind of where we're going to. Nonetheless, I like seeing this. This at least gives us a path of where they're going to go forward here. So this target represents over 40% growth from 2024, supported by machine orders already in place. We don't know what kind of machines they have in place. I'd like to know that. As the largest public Bitcoin miner, this goal aligns with both our rapid expansion and commitment to low-cost power and efficient capital deployment. It's gotten better. I'll just leave it at that. Following a record-breaking May, production in June came in lower with 211 blocks won for the month. The decrease was primarily due to reduced uptime from weather-related curtailment and the temporary deployment of older machines in Garden City while storm-related damage was being remediated. So, trying to understand why they would use older machines. I mean, did they get machines that were damaged? How many machines were damaged? That'd be nice to know. Nonetheless, that's kind of what they're dealing with here. So natural variability in block luck and expected dynamic when operating our own mining pool also contributed. So, right, it helps out when things are going great. Like last month, May, they had huge numbers for Bitcoin mined. That was partially attributable to some Bitcoin mining luck, right? And now this month, things are down, so they're attributing that to partially as well, which is true, right? Sometimes luck is with you, sometimes luck is against you there. So BTC produced was 713. I'm a little bit lower than that for their own sites that are not joint ventures. Just a little bit. I think it's like 18 or 19 Bitcoin lower than that. Energized hash rate 57.4, so that's down from 58.3. But I still am at 58.3 because that's really where they should be. That's kind of what I'm using there. The 57.4 is because, well, things got knocked out of power, right? But that's kind of where they are. Okay, and then as of June 30th, the company held a total of 49,940 BTC. It does look like they bought some Bitcoin as well, on top of holding everything that they mined there. All right, so that is it for it. Let's see, this includes 15,534 Bitcoin is loaned, pledged as collateral, or held in separately managed account for the benefit of the company. Okay, so they got close to 50. I mean, they're going to reach obviously 50,000 here in the next couple of days. I'm sure they're going to report on that as well. They should probably reach that in 3 days or so. They should probably reach that. 2.5 days, 3 days or so, something like that. To 50,000, they'll probably report on that as well. We'll see if they do. But let's take a look at the numbers that I do have here for them as it is. So they have about 351 million shares outstanding. They're going to provide their Q2 results probably in about 4 to 6 weeks. We'll get that. We'll see what the current number of shares is, what the dilution has been like. Stock price right now is at $15.70 right now as it is. Market cap $5.5 billion. 52-week high is $30.28. 52-week low is $9.81. The price performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great. They're up only 5% from last week. From 4 weeks, they're down 4.8. From 8 weeks, they're down 4.6. And from 12 weeks ago, they're up at only 20%, right? We're seeing other miners being up much higher there. Current hash rate, 58.3. That's kind of where I'm at right now. They are getting 75 exahash here, so they still have quite a bit of growth here, which is nice. Bitcoin HODL, obviously 49,940. That's valued at 5.2 billion or so. That's giving us a HODL to market cap ratio of 95% of their market cap is their HODL, which is just insane, right? So they're not really being valued on their operations, or they're not being valued on their HODL, whichever one you want to choose. And each share has about $15 of HODL in it right now. So definitely not being valued fairly, I guess you could say. And definitely undervalued in my opinion. Bitcoin self-mined here, I got them at 694, and that's down 237 Bitcoin from where they were in May of 931. That was their best month there. Obviously the best revenue that they saw also in May, 96.58 million. They're down to 73.4 million here in June, and it's unfortunate that they dropped back down, but at least they didn't drop down half like they did in 2023? I think December they had like a huge number, 750 or something like Bitcoin's mined, and then the next month they were like down half of that for some reason. Bitcoin HODL continues to increase here as we've seen here. Hash rate difference, hash rate stayed the same, basically flat. I mean, they're down a little bit. They're reporting what's energized, but they have 58.3. It's just we don't know what happened with it. Bitcoin sold here. Looks like they bought maybe 48 Bitcoin here in June. And then BTC per exahash efficiency down to 11.9. Not a great number there for them. They curtailed definitely a lot, and depending how much impact that storm had on them, that didn't help out either. So they bought about $5 million of Bitcoin there. Going down here, we'll get into these numbers here in a second. Institutions and analyst ratings here, the latest that I have for them is still 568 institutions. Shares went up just a little bit here by institutions to 222.96 million. Percentage owned is 64.05. We still have 4 strong buy ratings, 2 buy ratings, 8 hold ratings, 0 underperform, and 1 sell rating. Price target for the high is $33. That's still the same. Average went up to a little, actually went down a little bit, to $20.27, and the low stayed the same at $9.50 here. Okay, as far as machine-wise, what were they operating, how many days here for the month here? It looks like they were operating for about 23 days or so on average, based on their hash rate here, with all those things being plugged in. That got us to the 73.442 million, based on where Bitcoin average price was for the month, along with the network average hash rate. That's kind of where we are with that right now. The one good thing that we saw here at least was the revenue per exahash or per machine, whatever you want to call it, per day, did increase a little bit here, mainly because the network hash rate has come down in exahash, and we saw a reduction in also the difficulty as well. So that kind of helped out the revenues that were being mined per day per miner, basically. Okay, so there's that. We got them running on those, and then based on the revenue that they had in June here, times 12 months looking forward, I'm between 1878 and 2817, right? Not even taking into account their HODL position. So if you add in HODL into top of that, well, they definitely should be probably valued a lot more than where they are right now. They're at 1570 right now as it is. And yeah, they should be probably valued. They're going to have a really good quarter with the FASB as well. The HODL position that they do have there is going to be over $1 billion in increased value just from the prior quarter. So that should help out the EPS there. That's going to be a nice boost to their EPS per share. We'll see where they come in at. But yeah, I mean, they are the largest Bitcoin miner here, right? They mine the most, but they also seem to have, their operations have gotten better, but they do seem to have issues every once in a while where things go out of their control. So, and things, they get storms and other things, and things just take a beating on them. I think also part of this was contributable to the hotter weather that we've seen here recently. This past month, it was definitely hot where I live. I'm sure it was even hotter, and I live in Illinois, right? So if you go down even south, further where they're located, in some of these facilities, it gets even hotter. So I can definitely understand the curtailment there at that point. But that's it. They just got to continue to execute, get that number up as much as possible, get the operations and uptime as close to 100% as they can. That definitely helps out tremendously. And then we'll see what they report for their Q2 numbers as well. Where's the current shares outstanding? How much dilution have they done? We'll look at everything else on top of it when they do report it at that point. All right, so we'll see who reports tomorrow. It could be Cleanspark or IREN or somebody else. We'll find that out tomorrow. As always, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members, and Patreon members also have access to our private Discord server there. Link for that is down in the description. It's a couple dollars a month if you want to join and help support what I do. Plus, you get access to all these wonderful spreadsheets full of data for guys like me and gals possibly that are data nerds. I consider myself a data nerd. The more data I have, the more confident I feel in what I'm doing. Okay? But that's just me. All right, let's get into it here on the Q&A side of things here. So what you guys have to say, we'll call it a day. We're at half an hour in. We're doing pretty good, all things considered. So as always, if you guys could preface your question with a question mark, and I'm going to work my way up, and we'll work our way down. So be patient. I will get to all your guys' questions. It just might take me a little while. Let's see, talked about that one already. Khalifa, good morning. Good morning to you as well. I'm guessing you're someplace at a much different time zone than I am. Okay. Marcus says Bitfarms may ran by morons. I don't, it's different management, different board. Give them some time. All right. Let's see. Daryl already covered your question. Let's see. Aaron asks, "What's up with Hive today?" I think they're just getting some love there, possibly. Okay. Daryl's got a question here. If the markets are forward-looking, why is Mara not popping on the news that they will reach 75 exahash soon? That is a good question. Right, that's kind of my thought why they actually provided that information. I don't know. I don't know if people have lost faith in Mara, maybe because they're seeing what their cost to mine is, right? It's higher than the other miners. They still have 35% of their, I believe it's 35% of their machines hosted. They are like getting into all these other things that we haven't seen much revenue from those things, right? So you got the two-pick immersion cooling. You have other things that they're doing as well. It's just like, how much revenue does this stuff bring in? And it's usually like they're doing these things usually in like projects with somebody else. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Mara right now, but they're definitely not being valued for what they have or the potential that they have as well. But I think it's just maybe the cost. Maybe investors have gotten a little bit smarter here, and they're looking for the most efficient miners and things like that potentially. But then you also have guys that are getting into HPC-AI, which are pumping here. All right. See, Daryl says, "Thanks again for all your great work and research. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming in, as always." DFly, are you buying IREN or Cleanspark, and did your price target increase? Price targets have not increased yet. I'm waiting for their operational updates for June here. We'll see where those come in at. And I bought IREN and Cleanspark last week before they started running up a little bit here. This was the first time I bought in probably 2.5, 3 months, I think it was, because I had to save a bunch of cash for paying Uncle Sam. So, Sadie, appreciate all the thumbs up and the smiles. It greatly helps the channel for sure. Let's see here. Real Rug says, seeing limited shares available for securities lending on the Russell 3000 IWM. Okay. All right. Daniel says, biggest winner tomorrow should be Griffin Mining, up 60% after hours. Do you like their deal with American Mining? I did not see that. Let's see. Is it after? Let me see if I can pull that up. Is it that much up? Hold on. Let me pull that up here. Copy that. Open up a new tab. What's Griffin? Is it GRFY? GFR. I'm drawing a blank on what the symbol is. I think it's Y. Let's try that. Let's search for Griffin. Might be easier. Griffin. GRYP. See, yeah, it is up. It's up quite a bit there. Holy cow. Any news on that one? Let's see here. Let's go to the screen. So yeah, that one's up 70% here today. What is driving that thing up? American Bitcoin and Griffin Mining advanced towards public access 6 hours ago. Okay. Yeah, so it was up. Let's see. It was up 2% on the day, but then it's up another 69%. That's what we get here. Access Newswire. What is this? What do we have to talk about there? Let's see. S4. Okay. Today announced the filing of an amended registration statement on Form S4 with the. Okay. Do we have any other details on here? ABTC Q3 of 2025. So this current quarter that we're in right now. And that's it. So we'd have to look at the SEC filings. And maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll take a look at it, see what's going on there. But yeah, it's another one's pumping. Yeah, it depends on what the number of shares are going to be, what it's going to get priced at, right? We need to see all those details to see where it's actually being. Is it fairly priced or is it overpriced? All right. Andre, hi Sebastian, does your father own any CORZ warrants? If yes, what is his strategy on selling it? He does own those. And yeah, that's one question that I have is how will that impact the warrants, right? If CoreWeave buys out Core Scientific, what impact will that have on the warrants? On that one, we have tried in the past selling, I can't remember which one it was. We sold one without a problem. The other one, for some reason, we couldn't sell. I don't know if we did something wrong on it or not. So we know we can sell at least one of the warrants. We're not sure about the other one. And maybe we can start selling it now here, maybe. But yeah, that's a question that I have also. But right now he's holding on to it as is. All right, Ace's got a question here. What's your thoughts on Bitfarms? I took a break for the last few months, but I remember you sold your holdings. Are you planning to buy back in? Already have. Cheers, double doggy dog. All right, so yeah, I sold 2/3 of my position in Bitfarms back in November, December of last year. I've not been buying into it. I did state here this week or last week that I would possibly buy into it if the share price went down below 50 cents or 50 cents and below. And I probably would. At that point, it's just going to seem ridiculously undervalued. So that would be a good entry point to possibly get back into it at that point. Other than that, I'm holding on to what I have right now, which is only 1/3 of what I had. And we'll see where this this doggy dog runs. All right, so we'll see. All right. Real Rug says, apparently JP Morgan likes Riot. Well, I think JP Morgan is in quite a few of the miners there, I think. How much are they selling? Who's that? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Let's see. Abi Hailash. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right there. If not, I'm sorry. Question, Bitfarms reserves splits 10-1. Does that reduce their total shares from 500 million to... Yes. Yep. That's what would happen there on that one. Let's see. They should have never diluted that high anyway. Well, so you got to understand also that Bitfarms has been around since like 2017, 2018. Right, that's a long time in the Bitcoin mining space here. A lot of the newer miners, including like Mara, Riot, Cleanspark, IREN, Cypher as well, those guys came on the scene in right around 2020, 2021. I think Mara was maybe in 2019 or something like that. I can't remember when they came up on it. But a lot of these guys are newer in this space, so they've had less time to dilute that amount. And that's why Bitfarms has been around much longer. That's why their share count is at 500 some odd million. So that's partially it. The other part of it was they made some mistakes in the past, right? They had to dig themselves out of it. As a result, that was the share usage there on that one. Okay, Mr. ABC's got a question. What's the percentage short interest float for IREN? Possible further short squeeze? Let me see. I don't know what the percentage is there. I haven't run the numbers yet, and I probably should because we probably got new data on it as well. So we might do that. Let me see here. IREN. Let me make sure. Let me see here. Where's IREN? Let me see if this is going to work for me. Bear with me. Where is it at? Don't want to go there. I want to go here. IREN. Let's take a look at that one. See what the latest data shows on the short interest. I still have data from 6/13. I think that might be the latest data that we have on it. But it looks like share short actually went up. But we'll run that later on this week. I got to pull in all that data anyways. So thank you for reminding me on that one though. All right, close that up. Let's go to the next question here. Real Rug says IREN shows 28.68 million shares short, representing 12.59 of the float, according to Barron's. The data is as of, okay, so that's kind of the data that I have as well. So yeah, it might be 28.68 last month. Let me pull that up here for you guys. You guys can see that. Where's the shorts? Where's my short sheets? There it is, shorted. Okay, let's take a look at this. So last month we had Cypher being 18.66%. So that's going to be a lot there from what you're saying. If it's 28%, I had him at. Gosh, I'm looking at Cypher here. Where's IREN? IREN was 10% last time that I did this, and this was back on end of May here. So that would definitely represent a huge increase in the number of shares shorted there right now. If it's what did you say it was? Let's go back here. What did you say it was? Oh, 12.59. Okay, so it's not too bad. I thought you were saying 18.59. All right, so yeah, so definitely an increase there, but still not as high as we've seen for the other miners, which is like Cleanspark being at 26%. BitDeer last time was 29, so we'll see where those guys come in, and we have been seeing some selling out of it, but we'll take a look at it later on this week when I pull the data in and get it all nice and clean for you guys. All right, let's see. As it says, facilitating corporate actions. In some cases, companies undertake a corporate action like a spin-off may use a reverse stock split to ensure the spin-off's shared price. Okay, so that's one possibility they could do there, which I don't think they will, but we'll see. They can also allow this spun-off entity to focus on its specific business and growth opportunities, potentially leading to improved performance. We've seen that basically with Bit Digital, right? Spinning off their white fiber into its own business there. But yeah. All right. Private's got a question here. Do you see IREN continuing to run hotter than Cleanspark, or for Cleanspark with their operations in HODL to catch up soon by the end of 2025 and both be 25-35? So I think Bitcoin will need to run up here for Cleanspark to start catching a nice bid up as well. So we would need that. Right now, IREN is running on the belief that they're going to get an HPCI deal for their sites that they have, right, in Clearwater and maybe the Horizon 1 site as well. So that's the belief there. But if Bitcoin runs up, I think that's going to help Cleanspark as well. So hard to tell. If you believe Bitcoin's going to only go up to 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be by the end of the year, then yeah, Cleanspark should run as well, right? Will they be in the same price range? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's too hard to tell. All right. Andy's asking, what factors are currently keeping Bit Digital's market cap around 650 million? I'd appreciate your insights. Okay, so prior to them splitting off and reorganizing the company there last week, where they're spinning off White Fiber into its own business, own stock, basically. They're also moving away from Bitcoin mining, and they're going to become a Ethereum HODL, basically, company, treasury company. So based on, they also have HPCI business right now currently. They have data centers that they've been purchasing as well. And they also have some data centers that they lease out right now as it is. They don't own completely. Nonetheless, they do have, obviously, revenue from there. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around 100 million right now revenue per year, roughly. So that makes me think that they're kind of fairly priced in where they are right now. Could it be valued a little bit higher? Yeah, it's basically on revenue, that's 6x on the revenue they're getting per year. Could it be higher priced? Yes. I think it was just the asset-light approach they had in the historically. They have a little bit of a Bitcoin HODL, not much, but they're going to be changing it over to Ethereum as well. I don't know if that's the right play to go with, but time will tell on that one. So that's kind of my thoughts on it right now. Okay. Here's a question. What do you think of today's news? IREN has secretly been doing an HPCI 30 megawatt site at their Prince George site that was verified today by satellite imagery. I don't know if that was done secretly. I think they were talking about doing some stuff over there, if I'm not mistaken, at least in the conference calls, I think. I could be wrong on that, but I thought that they were talking about doing something there. But that would be something for Canadian customers, I guess. There, that might not be a bad idea, right? So maybe is that why the stock's running on that? I don't know. Okay. Question: what are your thoughts on the upcoming spot Sol ETFs and the likelihood of Solana taking off and doubling or tripling as BTC gets to 180,000 and beyond? I don't know. I think Bitcoin is the king here. Everything else is obviously lower than that. Now, we haven't seen Ethereum at least not do as great. I don't know what Solana has been doing. I don't track it anymore. I haven't really tracked it ever. I've tracked Ethereum a little bit, but it hasn't done as well as Bitcoin has done here in the last 2 years, I guess you could say. So I'm wondering if that's going to continue. We're also seeing Bitcoin take dominance over altcoins here. That's increasing to that, what is it now, 65%, somewhere around there. I don't know if that's going to continue even further. We're seeing just more and more adoption of Bitcoin as time progresses here, which I think is going to suck up some of the spotlight from Ethereum, Solana as well over time. But I could be wrong on that. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Okay. DMGI's HODL versus market cap seems like a bargain. What's their HODL right now? I'd have to look at it. Last time I checked was probably several months ago on that one, so I'm not sure what the market cap is on it. It might be a bargain. I just don't know. Private says, hit like, guys, 126 watching and only 6. What? Yeah, come on. Help a brother out. No. If you guys enjoy the show, hit the like button. If not, that's fine. All right. Let's see. Triet says Mara and Riot should have spent those capitals and offerings on expanding their operations rather than buying BTC. I agree with you there. I'm not a big fan of mining companies buying Bitcoin. You're mining Bitcoin to mine it at a much lower cost than others can buy it at. Yeah, that definitely, yeah. I'll leave it there. Let's see, a YouTuber, let's see, it didn't pop up. That's here. A YouTuber couch investor said analysts put IREN's price at about $18. Well, it's not too far from where it's at right now. I think it should be actually higher than that as it is, without the HPCI business. Let's see. David's got a question here. I think it will be December before Riot is out of Bitfarms. How can they take 120 million loss? Is there something I don't understand? Like, what's happening with Riot is they have activist investors in them, right? They're kind of pulling their strings a little bit as far as which direction the company should go. So last year they were all in on Bitcoin mining. They're not getting into HPCI, right? And then after the activist investors got into it, things started changing, right? So they started talking about using the rest of the sites that they have at Corsicana for HPCI potential, right? They're pausing Bitcoin growth also to like 38, whatever it was, 38, 40, something exahash, and concentrating on HPCI. And then you're seeing, after that happened, you're seeing them also start selling here Bitfarm shares, which is kind of strange. Why would you sell at a loss? Maybe they're just looking at it as, you know, get it off the balance sheet, get it done and over with, and move forward. But it's still going to be a huge loss. So, yeah, I don't get it either. Okay. All right, if you had to break down on the most or to least attractive HPCI sites offered by each company, that would take me a while. And the big thing that you want to look at when you're looking at these sites is, one, redundancies. So can you get data fiber, basically, redundancies on fiber? Because you need to have that. If one fiber line gets cut, you need to have another fiber line that they can obviously go on. Because otherwise, at that point, you're going to be out for a while. And that's never a good sign or a good thing for these guys. So that's number one. Number two is obviously redundancies in power. Can a site be expanded or built out to have redundancies in power, whether it's going to be natural gas generators, or is it going to be battery backups, or whatever they're going to be doing? Probably has you probably need battery backups anyways, but a large amount of battery backups to sustain it, but that would take a lot. So natural gas generators are the main one. And then how close are you to like huge metropolitan areas? I think that also plays into it as well. Location. So you got basically those three things that you want to look at. I've heard also recently, which was kind of surprised by, are the sites near railroads? I didn't even think about that. Railroads, right? Because if there's a railroad disaster or something like that, does something happen to your site? So, right, is it near a railroad? Other thing is airplane traffic. What's the airplane routes, right? Is it over your facility? If a plane crashes, you don't want it crashing into your facility. So that's one other thing that some customers are looking at as well, which is kind of interesting at that point. I mean, if something's going to happen, something's going to happen. Not much you can do about it. I mean, you try to minimize any kind of external distress or impact on your business. I understand that, but yeah, picking a site because the airline's flying over you. I mean, the airline doesn't have to fly over you. It could be flying over someplace else and have issues and still land in it, and right. So it's going to take you out one way or another. But that was kind of interesting to hear that. All right, let's see. Midwest Thailand, which miner do you think will get an HPCI deal first? Well, we already saw CORZ get it, was the first one to get it. Who's going to get it next? After that, we saw TeraWolf. We also saw Applied Digital get one, and then we saw Galaxy also get one, right? So who's going to get something next? I would think, with all honesty, if I had to bet on it here, it would be probably either IREN or Cypher, possibly. I think those two would be the ones that I would think would get it first, but I mean, you never know. Starmelon Gaming is asking, how's the IREN RSI? It's looking a little hot. Needs to cool off a little bit there. DeFi, IREN or Cleanspark are you buying? I bought last week. Trying to scrounge up some cash to buy a little bit more. I'll probably, I mean, right now with IREN being close to $16 as it is, I may hold off on that one and buy more Cleanspark, because IREN's already gone up quite a bit here. We'll see if we can get a pullback on IREN, and maybe then I would buy. All right. Shumham? So, again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Can Mara catch up later? accumulating it on daily basis due to its price. I mean, institutions are buying it, right? So eventually I think it will run up. It's just how well will it run up? That's the big question there. All right. SH, do you think Riot CEO will get fired for losing money on Bitfarms deal? That's going to be up to the board to decide, right? And possibly the activist investors as well, right? They could force him out potentially if they're not happy with him. So I think he's doing everything that he can right now to keep him at good graces, I guess. But we'll see. Let's see. All right. Question: what is Cleanspark and IRENs valued according to your pricing right now? Let's take a look at it here really quick. Scroll over there. All right. Let's take a look at Cleanspark first here. So let's see here. Screen. There it is. Okay. So I got Cleanspark somewhere between $23 and $34 right now. This is as of May numbers for the production. We'll see what the June numbers come in at. Okay. Let's see here. IREN. I have in between $26 and $39. That's kind of where I think they should be fairly valued based on that. But again, remember, I'm not taking into account Cleanspark's HODL position, right, which is valued at $1 billion something right now. Where's it at? 1.3 billion. So I'm not even adding that onto it. So if you add that onto it, it probably should be even valued a little bit more than that. Okay. Go back here. What else we got here? Okay, we're catching up with the questions here. Question: price target for Cleanspark as Bitcoin gets to 180,000. I would think, right, as we get to 180,000, that's roughly 80% from where we are right now, 75, 80%. I would think that they would do at least, bare minimum would be like a 2 to 3x. That's kind of what I would think the bare minimum would be. You got to remember that as Bitcoin price goes up in value, and as long as the network hash rate doesn't go crazy to the upside, these guys are going to be generating about 1.4 to 1.6 billion in revenue on a annual basis there. So that's a lot of cash. Which mining companies are profitable? That would be right now. We know for sure that IREN should be profitable regardless. They don't have a HODL, but they're going to be profitable. Next is going to be probably Cleanspark here. And if you take out HODL, I think Cleanspark will be profitable still. But adding HODL into it, the FSB impact, that's something going to put them in the positive. Mara's going to be in the positive. Riot should be in the positive. We'll see if Bitfarms is going to be in the positive at that point as well. Let's see. Trade says, I don't think any of the miners will get the HPC AI deals. Small companies like OSS been in the space much longer than, and they have multiple contracts with NVIDIA, and it's much cheaper. IREN, in my opinion, it's a possibility, right? We've been waiting for basically a year now since Core got the CoreWeave deal, and we've seen only CoreWeave go out and buy or lease out data centers from Galaxy and Applied Digital. And then Core 42 went in with TeraWulf there. So I'd love to see it, and I'd love to see it happen this year, but we'll see. You're saying cheaper in terms of margin for NVIDIA to build out those AI infrastructures. Possibly, yeah. I mean, it is cheaper to build out, right? So that's why we're seeing CoreWeave possibly trying to buy out Core Scientific. All right, HP got a question. Is the driver for Cleanspark Bitcoin price? Yes. Any other factors for the stock to move finally? Growth here, I think, as well. Right if they pronounce growth. The other thing is Cleanspark's not diluting right now, right? There's no dilution happening here possibly this year at all. They are selling their Bitcoin and funding operations that way, so that's a good thing. So there's no dilution. That should be a good thing. And I think we just need Bitcoin price to go up. Right. Does IREN have the most potential for upside? If they get an HPCI deal, I think so. Right, if they don't, I still think they're a great operator in Bitcoin mining, and they should be valued much higher than where they are. But it's going to depend on who gets the HPCI deal, right? It's going to be IREN, it's going to be Cypher, it's going to be Riot, it's going to be Bitfarms. That's going to be a huge jump to those as well. Plus, I think we're seeing a little bit of re-rating happening here with CoreWeave possibly buying out Core Scientific. We don't know where that's going to come in at the price per share. And if it's a nice premium there, that could also re-rate the other miners, which we're kind of maybe seeing here already happening. With IREN having a nice run up here, Cypher is looking pretty good here as it is, and others as well. So, okay. let's see, private says 2 to 3x from 11, so 22 to 33 for Cleanspark as BTC goes up 100 to 80% to 180. I really hope you are right. Yeah, I mean, that's the least I would think that would go up, right? Somewhere between 2 to 3x, somewhere between there at the very least when that happens. And Nick Lee says, is it likely for Bitcoin to reach 150 plus by the end of the year? I think it's possible, right? We need to see how it plays out here right now. I mean, Bitcoin right now looks like it wants to repeat a process that we saw here earlier this year, which I'm not liking right now. Right? Let's take a look at it here. Where's that screen? There it is. So you see here, we got down to the 50 simple day moving average, right? SMA. We went up, we came down. So we're seeing the same thing happen here where we got down to the SMA, we went up, came down, which we did that part here, went back up, which we did here, and then we came back down, right, went back up, and then we came back down here. So hopefully it doesn't go back down below the 200 simple day moving average. That would not be good. So if we go down to the 200 SMA, right around 96,000, that's not too bad, and bounce off of that, okay. I'd like to see us bounce here and just continue to go up, but I don't have a crystal ball, right? I mean, we're obviously seeing a lot of companies buying Bitcoin as it is. ETFs are buying it. Companies are buying it. Countries are buying it. I mean, all these people are buying it. Eventually, that liquidity that's out there right now is going to drop on the OTC desks and potentially also on the exchanges as well. So it's just a matter of time. It's just when will that happen? Will it happen, in the next 6 months? I would love to see that. Could it be longer? Could it be in 2026 sometime that we see that? That's also a possibility. All right, let's go back here. Let's see. All right. What price will you start scaling out of IREN? It will be more dependent on Bitcoin price than on IREN's price at that point. I mean, right now I'm up on IREN as it is about 94% as of today. So that's still a nice return, 100% almost roughly, and being in it for what, a year more or less. I started buying it last year, I believe. So that's not too bad. Could I have done better with some other things? Possibly. But at least these I feel a little bit more comfortable with. I know what's going on there, what's happening here. But yeah, definitely like to get at least a 2 to 3x on it before I start selling it at that point. And will we get that? I don't know. Will depend where we see Bitcoin, right? What does Bitcoin do? Does Bitcoin go only to 150,000 this year? Or does it go higher? And then does it go more into next year as well? Is the cycle broken where we have the bear market after this year? That's also going to be determined yet. So we're playing it by ear, I guess, and looking to see where things are going with Bitcoin and everything else at this point. That's kind of the way I'm playing it, at least, right? I don't want to give you guys a firm number where I'm going to be selling at because I really don't know right now. Things are way, way different from what they were last cycle on it. So let's see, we got a couple more questions coming in here, and we'll see. Nick Lee, I would be happy if Bitcoin stay above 120,000 end of year so high proficiency miners can keep profitable. Yeah, that would be great. Daryl says BTC will hit 150,000 by end of September. Okay, definitely got some conviction in there. I like that. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? Going up in the next 3 months, I mean, all we really need is what, maybe 10% months roughly. But then again, if you look historically, September has not been a great month for us. So we could, I mean, we need to go up, what, 25% in a month here. It's not out of the question, but it's doable. We'll see where we end up at. All right, everyone, we'll call it a day. Cut up to all you guys' questions. We'll see where we go tomorrow. We'll get some more numbers from the other miners tomorrow, possibly as well, and we'll report on it and anything else that's interesting that happens. Other than that, thank you so much for coming in. As always, hope you guys have a great night. Love you all, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.